DayZ is difficult for new players. We've all been there, but there are some things you can do to soften the blow. And here, I'm going to tell you 20 of the best tips and tricks you absolutely need to know so you can ruin somebody else's day for a change. If you like the video, please leave a like or a subscribe. It really helps me out. But without further ado, let's get into the video.
Whoa, that's an ominous shadow.
First tip is to always bandage with pristine rags or disinfected rags. This is because infections are rife and they are a slow and deadly killer, and the best way to avoid this is by only using clean things to heal with. Next is don't take on the zombies unless you know how to. This is because they can overwhelm you quite quickly, especially as a new player. Taking them on one by one is a great way to get some additional supplies, but try to avoid them if you can. Then we have don't stay on the coast longer than you have to. This is such an easy thing to do for newer players, but your main goal is to get enough food to go inland. The coast doesn't have a lot of food or gear compared to inland, so that's exactly where you should be aiming to go. Next is get warm clothing immediately. It's so easy to forget about this because most people are focusing on food, but if you don't get warm clothes, you will probably get ill, and then finding food will be irrelevant because you won't know how to cure yourself. Next is if you get wet, don't bother drying the clothes next to a fire. Instead, just switch clothing. Just look around, you will find some clothing in buildings. Drying clothes can take minutes and keep you in one place for longer than you need to be. It's much quicker just to change and then go on about your day. But that doesn't mean you don't need to learn the next thing, which is how to build a fire. Fires are so useful, especially as a new player. You can cook food, you can stay warm, they can provide light, you can get dry. Fires are super useful. You absolutely need to know how to build one. Next is understand if you're struggling for food. The larger the animal, the more food you get. So a chicken will give you a few chicken breasts, whereas cows, wolves, bears offer so much more in terms of meat and will keep you going for literally hours. Next is always utilize the quick menu. Putting things in this menu such as bandages or weapons allows you to draw these things out at the click of a button, saving you so much time, keeping you out of harm's way. Quick menu items are an absolute must. Next is you can repair clothing that has been damaged with sewing kits or duct tape. Unless ruined, clothing can be repaired, increasing its state, including its level of insulation. Next is don't drink random bottles you find. Sometimes they can contain things in them that aren't great for you and they will get you ill. You should always empty any bottle you find and then fill it up at a clean water source such as a well, which will always provide you with clean, safe water to drink. You can sneak by the infected. You could also run while sneaking, which will lower your overall sound and profile. If you don't have a magazine with a gun, you can usually put a bullet in the chamber, which means you have a single shot for any kind of an emergency. You shouldn't pick up everything, although it is tempting as a new player. You have to watch your weight. With higher weight comes less stamina, which means you will end up running shorter distances, won't be able to jump high, won't be able to fight as well, and also any long-term aiming will be affected by your weight and stamina decrease. Your main priority as a new player should be trying to loot and find a knife. Finding a knife will allow you to do most things, making survival so much easier. If you're struggling to find food, always look under fruit trees. Once you've been in the area for a while, these fruit trees will start to spawn. They are a dynamic event. You need to be in the area for them to occur. So just stay there for a few minutes and then look around, and you will usually find things such as a pear or an apple, and they just keep falling. You can't starve this way. Always use voice chat when you see other players, otherwise they're probably just gonna kill you on sight. They might kill you on sight anyway. That's a big part of DayZ, but this definitely lowers the chances of that happening. Don't get attached to gear. You probably will die as a fresh spawn a lot, and that is absolutely fine. Even if you get to a point where you've never been before and you have lots of cool gear and you think this is the best I've ever been, it's fine to die. You will just find that gear again, if not some better gear the next time around. So don't be afraid to die and don't worry about it. It will slowly happen less frequently. Next is if you're traveling around overnight, you have to know that zombies are attracted by lights and by fire. So it's not just players you have to watch out for, it is the infected, and they will come swinging as soon as they see the light. You should always favor darker or duller colors. This is because you don't want to stand out. Other players will attack whatever they see, so your best defense is keeping a low profile so you can see see them before they see you, whereas wearing a giant pink hat may not be the best way to do that. And then the bonus tip is if you want to be the absolute best at this game and you want to learn absolutely everything you need to know, then just click here for a full comprehensive beginner's guide, the only beginner's guide you'll ever need for DayZ. Or for something else, click here. But as always, until next time.